Small marsh bird with a disjunct range in South America, from central Colombia to eastern Brazil to central Chile. Note gray head and breast, warm brown upperparts, and brown flanks with white spots. Its greenish bill is distinctive. Singles or pairs can be seen swimming or walking in marshy habitat at the edge of lakes or ponds, sometimes remaining quite hidden. Unlikely to be confused, but compare with juvenile common gallinule, which has a dingy bill and a bold white stripe on the flanks. Fairly small rail, short yellow bill, black face, and gray neck distinctive. Found in marshes with grasses or reeds. Generally shy but often seen foraging at the edge of shallow water. Buffy juvenile often mistaken for much more secretive yellow rail. Note different back pattern and the fact that if you see the bird well enough to actually note the back pattern, it is probably not a yellow rail. Common call is a descending high-pitched whinny. Also gives a whistled, purr-wee, call somewhat like spring peeper, but clearer and consistently two-parted. Medium-sized crake with dense whitish spotting and speckling on the neck and breast. Also note greenish legs and short yellow bill with a reddish base. Breeds in freshwater marshes and wet meadows with dense vegetation cover, but migrants and wintering birds may also be found in ephemeral wetlands and brackish marshes. Retiring and rarely seen, but sometimes comes out at muddy edges, mainly early and late in the day. Song is a series of repeated hoot, hoot, hoot notes. Very small, stocky rail with yellow legs and bill, brown above, blue-gray below, black streaking, and white specks, barred flanks, and black undertail with a thick white border. Unlike Balin's crake, which has fine barring, tail is often held taut. Inhabits freshwater and saltwater wetlands with vegetated edges, where it forages on muddy shorelines, often out in the open. Calls include a clipped, squeaking, chip-chip that extends into a rapid series. Mysterious species endemic, if it still survives, to primary forest on steep slopes on Makira, in the Solomon Islands. Since the type species was collected in 1929, there have been only a few reports of this species, and none with convincing documentation since at least 1975, if not earlier. Extinct, last reported in 1873. Small water and with an erect black tail, no white edges, resembling that of a domestic chicken. Note pale green base to the bill with a yellow tip and a red spot, bright red-pink legs, and pale spots on flanks. Frequents locations around inland wetlands, and is usually seen on land rather than in the water. Can occur in large numbers, hard to approach, and when disturbed runs away fast. Tends to be less vocal than other watering species. Large flightless water endemic to Tasmania, has a yellow-green bill and a white thigh patch, typically occurs on grasslands near wetland, but has also become common on farmland. Small, reclusive moran, often confused with the much more common and extroverted common moran. Lesser moran is smaller and has a narrower white streak along the side, a mostly yellow bill, and all yellow legs. Immature is brownish, warmer brown than immature common moran, with a yellow bill. Found in wetlands, especially grassy, seasonally flooded ones. Shy and retiring, calls a series of clucks or drier chack notes. Dark water and with white edges to the undertail. Bill and forehead shield are primarily red with a yellow tip. Juvenile and non-breeding adult may be confused with other species due to their less colorful bills, which may appear primarily dark, occurs in a wide variety of wetland habitats, and is a common sight in urban parks. Typically fairly vocal, produces a wide array of shrieking sounds. Blackish, chicken-like marsh bird, often found near cattails, never far from water, often seen swimming, picking at the water's surface, or walking along the edge of aquatic vegetation. Thick legs and long toes are drab yellow. Adults have bright red bill with yellow tip, thin white side stripe, and some white under the tail. Immatures are paler and grayer than adults, lacking brightly colored bill. Extinct, formerly endemic to Tristan, in the Tristan da Cunha island group, and not known from other islands. Likely survived until the 1870s, and the last confirmed observation was in 1873. The causes of extinction include hunting by humans and loss of habitat. The moran was a medium-sized, black bird, similar to Eurasian moran, which is an occasional vagrant to the mid-Atlantic islands. It superficially resembled Goff moran, and was formerly considered conspecific. Goff moran was introduced to Tristan in the 1950s, and this led to confusion as to whether the original Tristan moran went extinct at all, until DNA studies showed significant differences between the two. A medium-sized dark moran restricted to the Tristan da Cunha Islands, similar to common moran, which is a vagrant to the Tristan group, but stouter, with a black neck and underparts, no white on the flanks, and mostly red legs blotched with yellow. Not all yellow is in common. Juvenile has yellow legs but is flightless, native to Gough Island and introduced on Tristan Island. Fairly common but somewhat secretive on both islands, preferring tussock grass and thickets below 500 meters of elevation. Calls include an electric rapid, share chuck, and a soft deck in contact. Distinctive dark water bird that resembles a cross between a duck and a chicken. Adults have a bright red bill with a yellow tip, while immatures have a duller bill and legs. Note big white oval patches under the tail, and white streaks along the flanks. Inhabits fresh and brackish marshes, on ponds, lakes, and along slow-moving watercourses with bordering vegetation. Smaller and more retiring than coot, and rarely far out on open water. Swims with jerky motion and walks with stealthy gait. The tail often slightly cocked, does not usually dive, gives a variety of loud, somewhat frog-like calls. Fairly common coot of lowlands, found on fresh to brackish ponds and lakes. Also marshy wetlands with little open water, often near cover, rarely far out on open water. Walks on shore more than other coots, as well as the diagnostic dark red forehead shield and bright yellow bill. Note the big white wedges under the tail, which with behavior often suggest a gallinule as much as a coot. Juvenile is dark overall with whitish throat and dull bill and shield. Often occurs in same areas as red gartered coot. Distinctive huge coot of lakes and bogs and high Andes, often seen standing along shorelines or on big weed-matted nest mounds. Note the colorful bill, long red legs, and huge feet. Prolonged nesting season means that all stages of nesting and young can be seen together, from small fuzzy black chicks to full-sized juveniles, which are pale grayish with a frosty whitish head and neck. Often rather aggressive, loud clucking and purring songs carry well and are given frequently. Very large, but rather local coot, rare except at a few lakes in the high Andes, set amid barren and rocky surroundings, often far out on deep water lakes, where it looks rather uneventful, black overall with a pale yellowish bill. Seen up close, Note the bizarre, erectile black horn appendage covering the bill base. Juvenile is dark sooty gray with a whitish throat. Builds remarkable nest mounds of stones topped with weeds that look like the tips of huge underwater volcanoes and take months, if not years, to complete. Fairly large, common, and widespread coot of lowlands, found on fresh to brackish ponds and lakes, also at river mouths and locally on coastal waters. Feeds mainly while swimming, but also walks readily on shorelines. Bill pattern is diagnostic. Pale yellow forehead shield is separated from brighter yellow bill by a broken dark red band. Also note the red garters on its legs, often hidden when swimming. Juvenile has extensively whitish head, often occurs alongside white-winged and red-fronted coots. Distinctive stocky water bird. Adult is dark gray overall with a white bill and forehead shield. Immature has a pale breast and a duller bill that becomes brighter white with age. When walking on shore, note big feet with lobed toes. Inhabits both freshwater and brackish marshes, lake shores, and riverways, occasionally on saltwater. Breeding pairs aggressively territorial, but non-breeding flocks can number in hundreds. Unmistakable throughout much of range, but compare with very similar red-knobbed coot in areas of overlap. Calls are diverse, and include various high-pitched squeaks, squawks, and shorter, more clipped notes. mostly sooty gray waterbird with a white beak and frontal shield. Breeding adults have two small reddish horns, but at other times difficult to separate from Eurasian coot. Feathering on the side of the upper mandible is rounded rather than pointed. The bill is bluish rather than pinkish, and in flight it lacks the white edge on the secondary seen on Eurasian coot. Found in open freshwater including lakes, rivers, reservoirs, and lagoons. The only coot in the Hawaiian Islands, similar in appearance to American coot, but the frontal shield above the bill is larger and more bulbous. Shield may be white or dark reddish-brown, distinguished from common gallinule by white frontal shield, gray feet and legs, and lobed toes. Occurs in wetlands, lakes, ponds, marshes, canals, and golf courses. Often grazes in grassy areas adjacent to wetlands. Plump, chicken-like bird that acts like a duck. Gray overall with blacker head and white bill. Tiny tail and short wings. Feet are large, yellow-green, and oddly lobed. Head jerks back and forth when swimming. Forages for aquatic vegetation anywhere with water, ponds, city parks, marshes, reservoirs, lakes, ditches, and salt marshes. Widespread, rather large but average coot of lakes, marshes, and river mouths, mainly in Andes and adjacent Pacific coastal lowlands. Despite the name, its plumage is no more slate-colored than other coots. Adult comes in 3 types. Most Andean birds have a dark red forehead shield and yellowish bill. Elsewhere, rounded forehead shield can be white or pale yellow, with a whitish bill. Legs greenish, appreciably shorter than legs of giant coot, which occurs alongside slate-colored at some lakes. Juvenile has a variably grizzled whitish face and throat. Fairly common to uncommon coot, mainly in lowlands, found on fresh to brackish ponds, and lakes and wetlands with open water. Feeds mainly while swimming, often farther out on open water than other coots. Bill pattern diagnostic. Rather small rounded forehead shield is bright yellow to deep orange, always brighter than the pale yellow bill. Named for narrow white trailing edge to wings, that are rarely visible. Juvenile sooty gray with whitish face and neck, often occurs with red gartered coots.